Haven't felt wind in a while. This is nice.
This is the story of how a retarded shaman wasted 14 years of my life.
Be me. Be in professional school. 1997. Russia. School sometimes has guests over to give presentations. One day this Kazakh comes to give his presentation. He talks about Kazakhstan's culture and people. Guy's got an awful Kazakh accent and talks very slow. Eventually a few of us can't take it and start laughing our butts off. Guy gives us a stern stare and teacher shuts us up. School ends. The dude confronts us. He tells us how wrong it is to make fun of people.
We start taking the pee out of him.
Call him basic white girl, mudblood, horse fricker, and all kinds of colorful words. He turns red but stays calm. I then start making crappy yo mama jokes.
He gives me a look of malice.
Like the kind you'd get if you massacred his whole family. He turns around, talks to the teacher, and leaves. Later that week I get a letter. It's written in a language I don't understand. The only thing I understood was my name, which was printed in blood. It had a thumbprint on it which was also printed in blood. I thought it was funny, so I stashed it in my drawer. Next day I show the letter to my friends. They all collectively lose their minds and laugh. During that week I kept feeling slight brushes on my shoulder, leg, or arm. As time went on the feeling got more frequent and intense, but then it suddenly stopped. After that I kept seeing slight glimpses of something in dark spaces or far out of windows. One night I woke up at 2 a.m. in a pool of sweat. It was unusual because I am a heavy sleeper and it was also in the middle of the fall, 3 Celsius, 37 Fahrenheit. So cold as frick. This kept happening, so I got some sleeping pills. They worked well. I wake up. But something isn't right. Something is very wrong. There it is. Standing at the foot of my bed. This tall humanoid figure surrounded by black smoke is staring at me. I looked into its green beady eyes. I could feel the absolute rage and animosity coming from them. Then I actually woke up, and I'll be perfectly honest. I peed myself. I was irrationally terrified. The feeling was so strange. Mentally, I was quite calm. But my body was shaking. My eyes were darting around and I was sweating. I get a change of sheets and underwear. Whole day I'm very tense.
I don't sleep, body straight up refuses.
Next night is weekday, so I down some pills. Get dream again. Avoid eye contact. Can't move limbs, but eyes move. Make out some details like wings and clothing. Glance at eyes and wake up. No pee this time, but sweaty and tensed up. I decide to get counseling. Psychologist straight up says I'm schizo and gives me meds. Meds actually help. Have normal sleep for 2 weeks. Then I'm back in the dream. Though this time I can move. The dream is a complete recreation of my room.
I instantly try to book it out of my apartment.
Door doesn't budge. Outside of the windows is just blackness. My TV is static. And light is make this black smoke. I cautiously walk into my room. It's standing there in the same place.
It looked at me and I woke up.
I kept having nightmare, no matter what meds or rituals I used. The effect of looking into its eyes slowly faded. And I can sleep like a baby as long as I stay in my dream and don't look in its eyes. Think I've outsmarted it, but after 2 weeks everything changes. While I'm in my dream, I'm sitting on my sofa reading my dream morning magazine. Suddenly feet fall through floor. What the frick? The floor turned into some black sludge. Everything is sinking. I run into my bedroom and look at the thing's eyes. Before waking up, I hear a slight chuckle. Next night. Room's normal. Do usual. When dream clock shows 5 a.m. everything starts turning to sludge. So think.
Okay, so before 5 a.m. look at eyes. Got it. But no.
Every 2 weeks the game changes. First the sludge. Then clock can randomly jump between hours so sludge can appear at any time. Decide to just sit on my bed with my back to darky so that if sludge appears I can instantly look at it. Nah, it turns its back to me. So in real life put a mirror on the wall where it'd be looking. NUHR has no reflection. After a month, I'm really fed up with this thing's bull crap. That night I start shouting at it. Tell Darky to frickety frack off. Ignores me. Get mad, walk up to it, and talk louder. Ignored.
Gets gigantically intelligent and idea to tap it on the shoulder.
As soon as my palm connects with its shoulder, I hear a slight thud. It then grabs me by the head and slams me into the wall.
The pain jolts me up.
I'm still in bed and the wall has no damage, but my head is heavily bleeding and my face is scratched up. I'm not just crappin' bricks, but whole buildings. I'm washing off my blood and I see it. In the mirror standing in the doorway. I start throwing stuff at it, but there's nothing there. Holy mother goose. I get out of the house. Drive around city to get my mind off things. It now appears in all kinds of places. I see it in alleyways, in forests, under cars. It's those eyes, anything dark has them plastered on it like stickers. I'm having a panic attack. I stop by, get down out of my car, and start swinging my pocket knife around like a retard. I calm down. Feel very sick and try to vomit. After a while I start feeling better and go back home. I don't sleep for 4 days. Eventually exhaustion gets to me and I fall asleep. No dream. I wake up. Not in my apartment. I wake up in forest buck naked. Stuff like sticks, rocks, and leaves surrounded me in a circle. And strangest of all, my hands were covered in semen. I panicked for a while, but I quickly noticed the sound of cars whizzing by. Eventually managed to find my car. My clothes were neatly folded and placed in the front seat. Driving around, realized I was around 12 kilometers, 7.5 miles, away from my town. Now I was really freaking scared.
While I was driving back, everything just clicked.
I came back home and got the letter. I got the envelope and got his address. Got in my car and set out for Kazakhstan. While on my journey I noticed that I didn't see the shadow, and when I took a nap I had no dream. Eventually I got to the town, but locals were grumpy weirdos and ignored me. Finally an old man pointed me in the right direction. I found the guy walking around. While walking up to him, I really wanted to punch him. But when I walked up all I did was go on my knees and beg him. I begged and I cried.
I swore to God I would never dare insult him.
I was sobbing like a bee. I was ready to give this man a ripe sucking. Then he just laughs. He starts cackling like he's heard the funniest joke in history.
I gave him the most WTF face I could.
He says, "Don't worry, dreams will be over in 2 weeks." I then tell him that I see it in real life. He becomes slightly more serious. I then explain to him the whole forest situation.
He says, that couldn't have happened.
I explain to him everything. He is visibly worried now.
He says, you weren't supposed to be able to move.
I asked him to elaborate, but he kept repeating,
No. No.
no. He goes inside his house. Comes back with a map.
He tells me no matter what, go here, and points to a location in eastern Bulgaria.
It was heavily forested area around 10 kilometers, 6 miles, from Units. After he told me that, I got ready to set out for Bulgaria. Around halfway into the trip, I start seeing things. From time to time I would get a glimpse of something between the trees. It had those eyes, but everything else was fuzzy.
I could make it out just fine, but I can't remember how it looks.
One thing I do remember is that its body in some way was incomplete. After 3 days, I reached Bulgaria.
Shaman said his family had a villa there and gave me permission to live in it. I'm around 4 kilometers, 2 miles, away from the villa.
The road I'm on absolutely sucks. It's overgrown and covered with holes. It's the middle of the night and there's a deer on the road. Not like retarded deer staring at you, but a deer freaking the flip out. It's looking around and suddenly, it bolts. Then his head goes flying.
A figure walks out from the foliage.
He was around 3 meters, 10 feet tall.
Skin was white.
Green eyes. He has a bow which is in the shape of an M. He looks at me and takes aim. I panic and hit him. He rolls over my car. He gets up and does a throat slit motion. He starts shouting. Imagine if an electric guitar could speak. My ears were ringing for days.
I finally get to the villa and quickly got inside.
I tried to go to sleep. But the forest was shaking from his guttural singing that echoed throughout the whole property. Next night is one of the best rests I've ever had. Every Sunday, a truck visits me and brings the essentials. On Sundays, big man SNT around.
But any other day, he stalks the forests.
On certain days there is guttural singing from the forests. Big dude doesn't come 300 meters, 984 feet, from the villa, something keeps him out. I don't have nightmares anymore, but sometimes big spirit leaves gifts. Mostly animal heads on a stake. Sometimes arrows in trees. And once he spent 20 minutes screaming towards the direction of my house. If I ever leave the forest, then Darky comes and haunts me. But it never enters the forest. Shaman visits me sometimes. He keeps telling me that he's close to figuring out how to vanquish the creature. Ask him if I can get a safer place to stay at. Told me spirits are territorial. He gave me some methods to keep him further away, but none of them worked. His strongest sigil got grabbed by big dude and crushed up. I saw its hand sizzle, but he just didn't give a crap. For 12 years this guy would visit me and tell me that he's closer, but he never actually figured it out. He stops coming, so I start doing my own research. I got a laptop and some crappy internet. I don't even remember the provider. All the methods on the internet are bull crap. Some seems to make my life worse, as one of them made big guy chuck a rock through my window. After 2 years of the shaman, who started this, bailed on me, I decided to try and end it. I get the idea that if I can somehow lure one of them to meet, they'll do something. So I get a gun on Sunday. I get to the fringes of the forest and camp in my car. Darky pops up.
I take my pistol out and shoot.
I miss, but he gets hacked off and charges at car.
I start driving towards forest.
It jumps, but I shoot at it so it continues chasing me. It peels off the roof and throws me out of the car. I shoot it twice, but it just absorbs the bullets. I start running. It catches up and pounces on me. I load an entire magazine into it, but it just absorbs it all. Then loud footsteps echo in the area. Darky jumps off and looks around. He then gets shot by an arrow. Big guy comes and grabs him. He starts sucking Darky's essence out and Darky just melts. While this is happening, I take my cue and leave. It's been 9 years since then. Shaman died of natural causes in 2009. Lucky Bestro.
Since then, nothing has really happened.
Now that was a frickin' story. I didn't know the archives housed such tales. Not sure if I have an audience or not, but if you are still here, I would appreciate it if you would follow me in my travels through the archive. By clicking that red button that reads Oh no.
Self-destruct sequence activated.